Good morning. Good morning. Apologies, people. Absolutely my fault. I literally just set my timer and didn't press go live. So whilst I thought you were all watching my timer, you weren't. In fact, you were all watching nothing. So apologies. I've literally what normally happens is everyone knows the Lionel Messi goal. As soon as that finishes and it says welcome to the show, please enjoy. That normally clicks to me and it's live, but I'd forgot to press the live button. So that makes me feel like a massive bit of an idiot. I hope everyone is well. It is North London Derby weekend. I don't know. I don't know what to say anymore, people. I've been on different shows over the weekend. I did AFTV yesterday. I did the Big Six last night. I've done Spurs shows this week. It's impossible to know how to feel as a Spurs fan. If you try and be realistic, you're told you're negative. If you try and be positive, you're told that you're deluded. Listen, and all of this, I only predicted a draw. And people are going on as though I've said we're going to batter Arsenal 7-0. So it is what it is. Also, this week we've had Paul Merson saying that Spurs can't cope with Arsenal. Spurs can't cope with Arsenal. I don't even know what this means in the grand scheme of things. Can't cope with them what? Aerially? Attacking-wise? We can't breach their defence. What is it that Paul Merson thinks we won't be able to cope with? I'm just a bit concerned as to these statements keep coming out. But I heard these statements before. I heard these statements from Arsenal fans. I even heard this statement from Spurs fans in the summer, how we're going to be in a relegation battle without Harry Kane. Everyone was coming, not everyone, that's a lie. So many people. So I was just putting this out on YouTube. For some reason, that post didn't go. Oh God, what's going on here? Sorry, I'm all over the place today. I'll tell you what, I woke up this morning feeling a little bit hungover and I haven't drunk for over 40 days now. So it's all a bit strange. There we go. Okay, I can settle down a little bit now. There we go. I can settle down a little bit now. Can bring in the man, the myth, the legend that is Kuva99. Kuva, I'm having a mare. How are you?
Oh, I'm good here, mate. I've got your message to invite me on. I thought, clearly you're not on this morning, are you?
Mate, do you know what? It's not what I normally do. I get to 1 minute or 2 minutes past 10 and set the timer. And then I go, and same ritual every day. That's when I then go. I go and get my water, I've got my shake for the morning. And I'm literally sitting here. I've got it all. I'm like, okay, cool, right. And then as it went live, I realized I hadn't pressed go live. So no one had been watching my my intro. Never mind. How are you? Are you good?
I was enjoying it. It's good content for a change.
Yeah. Some might say that, mate. Some might say that.
It's cool. Doing well. Can't have a normal week for Spurs fans, can you?
I don't know what it is. I don't know what that would look like.
Yeah, it might look like a football club, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I kind of feel like last night I was on the Big Six with obviously Man City, all the Big Six basically, and Spurs are still in there. We're still in there. And the funny thing is, we're sitting there watching, and you got the Man United fan, Chelsea fan, rowing about their club and their issues. Spurs fans trying to justify why we're good again. Arsenal fans telling the world they're going to win everything and batter us 5-1. Liverpool fans, they're cooking because of Klopp. And then you got the Man City fan just sitting there going, cigar, feet up, no care in the world, Kuva, like no care in the world. What must that be like?
Yeah, I have to go back a few decades to get just the sense of it. And even then, we're only a cup team. Never really looked like winning the league. Yeah, it's been like I've said recently, in my entire lifetime, there's only one time where I genuinely thought we might win the league, and that was under Pochettino. And it was just when we were chasing Leicester. There was about 5 games to go. And we'd had that massive win at Stoke. It was 4-0 on a Monday evening. And I just thought, wow, we could actually do this. But of course, It's Spurs, so we wouldn't, would we?
We all know how that ended up, but yeah, I think it's crazy, right? That when you look at everything at the moment, I you know me. Listen, you go the other way, which I love about it. I admire that you do it. I can't, but I try and keep grounded. And even yesterday, I've gone on to the Big Six, and I'm not saying to everyone, listen, I think it'll be 2-2. But I do make Arsenal favourites. Like I've said that openly because listen, they're at their home ground. They're fresh off the back of a title challenge. They just spent all that money. I think I'd be crazy to call us favourites. Everyone in the chat, oh my God, have more chest, back your team. And I'm like, hang on. Football fans are amazing because if I come out here and say Spurs are winning this 3-0, oh my God, you Spurs fans, you're delusional now. 5 good games. Blah, blah, blah. I come out and say I think we'll get a draw. Oh, you're not backing your team enough. If I come out and say we'll lose, oh, nothing's changed. I don't know what I'm allowed to predict anymore, Kuva. So I'm just going to go with whatever you predict, which is...
I'm going for it being a very tightly contested game, and it might be settled by a single goal. That's a bit of a difference from the usual 7-3, isn't it? in my heart, it's 7-3 every game. But, with a realistic sort of outlook on it, what have they done this season? They're not that free-flowing attacking team of last season, which fell off the rails towards the end of it, as usual. Mm-hmm. And they've introduced Declan Rice, added some more steel, and basically stopping the game from happening, isn't he? That's what he's doing. He's the new handbrake. So they're not conceding as many shots as they have been. They're not scoring as many as they used to. Forget midweek with a really weakened sort of PSV team that has had better seasons. That isn't going to matter a lot in the league. They don't look too exciting, do they? Sums up Declan Rice, really, doesn't it? Good at what he does, and that is just stopping things happening and slowly moving the ball around.
Well, this is the thing, Kuva. For me, what I don't understand is I'm not, you know me, I'm not going to be the person that goes on to other people's shows and starts going, yeah, Arsenal are crap, we're battering you 7-1, 5-0, whatever. But in the same breath, when people are saying to me, oh, Spurs haven't played anyone yet, who have Arsenal played yet?
Yeah, I mean, both of us beat United quite comfortably, didn't we, in the end?
One team to beat United. Arsenal's games have been Fulham, Palace, Forest, and Everton. So you've got 2 teams there that will probably be down the bottom of the relegation battle in Forest and Everton. Palace are always between 11th and 15th in some sort of way. And then you've got Fulham, who are a mid-table team. Now, isn't it funny? They've done that, but yet they sit there and go to Spurs fans, you haven't beaten anyone yet. But we've done that, haven't we done the same? We've done Bournemouth, Sheffield United, Burnley, and then Man United and Brentford. Like, we haven't, I don't see what's different about what they've done so far to what we've done.
I'd argue the Brentford away game's probably tougher than the ones they played. They're a good unit. They were last season. They are this season. Fulham as well caused them all sorts of problems. I mean, we make 9 changes, still draw in 90 minutes against them. They have their full strength team out in the league. Can't beat them either. I think there's weaknesses in their team. There's bits that aren't clicking. I don't think they're anywhere near that kind of level of football they were playing last season. I really don't.
Yeah.
Like you said though, for us, pretty much the same though. If you're going to use the argument of haven't played anybody of substance, yeah, it does work both ways. Of course, it does. It's a test for both teams here. Arsenal are going to try and get themselves back to where they were last season. They don't look like they're doing it at the moment. We're sort of the next new chapter, as always. Your breath of fresh air manager and this new style, and we've only played a few games like it. So we're on the ascendancy of, we're on that riding that wave of hope that I've totally embraced, and you reject wholeheartedly because you hate Spurs. And no, sorry, I'm only joking. You weren't really listening anyway.
I am listening. I'm just setting up a few things in the back. Sorry, go on.
That's all right. It's all right. So I think it's like it's a test. It's a little litmus test early in the season for both clubs, I think, yeah. If we go there, regardless of result, if we look like we're capable of getting a result when we play that game, even if it doesn't go our way, if we get dodgy VAR decisions or bad refereeing or anything like that, and perhaps we feel the sense of being robbed, that's not a bad thing. The result would be bad, but the feeling it would be still positive. We're going forward.
Yeah.
Now, if they don't come out with this dominant performance that they're bragging about being so great last season and they massively strengthened, if they don't achieve that, where are they? They're going to be looking around at themselves thinking, are we actually worse now than we were last season? And that would be, well, let's face it, that would be just funny.
I think this is it. Bang on, mate. You've made the point. Not only from what I'm hearing from the Arsenal fans now, not only do they need to beat us, for me, they need to convincingly beat us, because they're not. Have you noticed? None of them. Well, listen, I actually tell a lie. A couple of them have been really sane and have come out and said, you know what? Tight game this. Spurs are better. Think we might beat you 2-1. Those people, I go, I respect that, because I think that could happen. I respect that. But the majority of them, Kuva, are you're getting smashed. You're getting dominated. You're getting annihilated. Fill in the world with whatever adjective you want, right? That is happening to Spurs. If they don't, what can their possible excuse be on Sunday? So if they beat us 1-0, fair play, I'll say fair play. Better team won, you beat us 1-0, right? But what will their excuse be for the 5 that I've been told we're going to get past us, or the 4 goals everyone's predicting, or the fact that they're going to dominate us from start to finish?
Yeah, good question. Good question.
It's
Really, you if you put in all your eggs in one basket and that sort of prediction about how good your team is, you've only got one possible outcome in a match to be any use to you. It's you couldn't accept an entertaining draw or something and just say, yeah, we're still going in the right direction. You've already dismissed that, haven't you?
Mm-hmm.
You're saying we are already at that level. No, it's just not going to happen. It's despite what's happened in the last sort of couple of decades, and where we've had periods where we've just not been a good team at all, and they've been an amazing team at one point. Let's face it, that Invincibles team was
ridiculous.
Thing.
Ridiculous. Yeah, imagine having that 11.
But if you take those little fluctuations out when there's an imbalance between the two sides, even then you got close games. That 4-4 with Harry Redknapp in charge, so that come out of nowhere. Nobody was expecting us to do anything. Yeah. Even when they beat us 5-4, and it was like a crazy game. And you'd look at it at the end, you think, well, in that game we could have been 3-0 up at one point. It was mad. Then they came back and dominated for ages. They could have run away with it, scoring 8 or 9. But at the end, there's only one goal separating it. The history, more often than not, is that that kind of game is settled by a goal. It's always tight. It's the London derbies. There's always something very special about them. But this is the biggest one, without doubt, for us and for them. And for them,
sure.
They talk about rivalries in terms of league table, but let's look at history. It's all about us hating them and them hating us, and I love it. I think a lot of their lot do as well. They might not admit it, might try and pretend they're so much better, but I think they actually do like getting one over on us.
Yeah, look, of course. I mean, even if Spurs were 19th and Arsenal were 20th, it's always going to be a massive game in the calendar, right? Let's be fair. When the fixtures are announced, I go to 3 things. I go to, right, who's our first game against? I want to know who we're kicking off against. Then it's what days are we playing Arsenal? When are the 2 Arsenal fixtures? And for me, I don't know. I've just got this sense of, I'll say it as well, Arsenal are a very good team, Coover. I'm not one of these Spurs fans who goes, oh, they're Arsenal, they're rubbish. They're a good team. Of course they are. They, fair play to them. 8th, 5th to 2nd. No one saw that coming. They did that brilliantly. I think Arteta has assembled a very nice looking team. I don't mean aesthetically. By the way, I'm not calling them all ugly, but they've assembled a good team that works. It gels together. But from what I've seen this season, I've not watched them and gone, wow. Like, like when you're watching prime Man City and you go, oh, Jesus Christ, we're playing them next. I've not seen that. I see a team that I think will probably, I don't know about you, let's talk about this. I think they'll probably have the lion's share of possession. I don't think it's going to be 60-40 or 70-30. I do think they'll probably have more of the ball being at home.
You'd expect it, yeah.
Yeah, but I do think that when we get possession, we'll have spells in the game where we're dominant with the ball as well. I think it's going to be really, for the old phrases, I think it's going to be really nip and tuck. I don't think it's going to be this swing. Spurs fans going, 3-0 us, and Arsenal fans going 4-0 us. I don't think it's going to be either.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I think it could be settled by a single goal. I really do. All that, all the talent that's in the teams at the moment, and you might stand back and think this is going to be a goal fest. Go for 3-3. I said that earlier in the week, 3-3. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought, no, they do not play that way this season. They're really about stifling opposition, limiting the amount of chances, and it's just keeping that midfield possession. And they haven't got the cutting edge they did last season. Last season was really where you saw what's wrong with their club there. That run into the end of the season where they threw away that massive lead and all those draws, started off with Liverpool, I think, then West Ham and losing to City and then losing to Forest. Brighton giving them a spanking at home as well. It wasn't just this one-off little blip where they'd lost their nerve. It was a complete capitulation. They've still got that manager in charge. They've still got a lot of those players there that went through that. I think that scarred them. I'm not sure they have that belief now. Declan Rice there, it's kind of made them, it's changed their chemistry. The balance doesn't look right to me.
It feels more... Would it be fair to say that Declan Rice going there? And by the way, again, I like Declan Rice, by the way. I like Declan Rice. I think you've been spot on about Vancouver in terms of it's not going to be a guy you watch and go, whoa, do you see that? But it is a guy that you go, you know what you're getting. So I'm just watching Mo Salah, by the way, dance through the defence last night. He came on and did well. Now, that's the kind of guy you go, whoa, do you see that? But I think it's made them, at the moment, listen, I can only ever say at the moment because it's a snapshot in time. I don't know what Arsenal are going to evolve into. I don't know how they're going to grow. But I think it's made them a little bit more, I don't want to say the word rigid, maybe a bit more methodical, maybe a bit more predictable rather than what they were last year. Because I think Xhaka was a little bit more... As much as Xhaka did the hard work, I felt that he loved to drive forward more and attack more and get shots off. And I don't know, that's only my perception of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Declan Rice is not a straight replacement for Xhaka, is he? Very different players. So they are adjusting to it, and it kind of fits that they're scoring less this season. They're not that free-flowing football team because this is what he does. This is what he brings to your team. It's a stability. It's a dependability. Perhaps they need it. So perhaps that is what gets them over the line in some games. But I think it's a work in progress for them. It might not even work out. Sometimes you can put those great players together and it just doesn't work. We saw that with the Galacticos at Real Madrid, didn't we?
Wow.
Massive talents, world famous. We called Galacticos for a reason, and it just didn't work, did it?
Too much talent. If and this is why I respect what Man City do. Man City have talent, but they never buy a talented player without the grit, the determination, the graft, and the team play. But I'm going to go through
Newcastle too. Early days there, and they might be struggling a little bit this season, but same ethos, isn't it?
Yeah. Everyone works hard. See, I think that the day of the Maverick has gone, which I think is a shame, but I think there's always room for a Maverick. But I think the days of having, we've got a solid defence, a solid midfield, and then 3 complete gung-ho Mavericks that don't track back. I think we witnessed that at PSG. I think you witnessed that you can stick Neymar, Messi, and Mbappe together, but in terms of an ethos, a philosophy, work rate, it's not there. And that's why all of them will be the main man in their own right of their own team. That's how...
I think the one that killed that off forever was prime Barcelona, because all that massive talent in the squad, and they worked their socks off to go with it. And people said, wow, that is unreal.
Yeah, see, for me, it depends which Barca you look at. If we look at Enrique's Barcelona, that won the Champions League when he had
Pep, I mean, yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah. No, I know. I was going to compare the two. So up front there, you had Messi, Suarez, and Neymar. Now, Suarez, a fantastic forward, but I think he's a phenomenal footballer that when people are talking about the best players that have played in the Premier League, doesn't ever get enough recognition for me. But work rate. Messi was younger. His work rate, bear in mind, people go, Messi doesn't run about. He's 36 years of age, right? He's 36. When he was younger, boy, did that man run around, right? And Neymar did back in the day. But then when you go to the team you're talking about, where you had Messi, probably more a Pedro and a David Villa, it was the 3 to 5 second rule. Lose the ball, hunting packs to win it back. But look, I think you're right. I think Arsenal, they might not get that back. They might do. What seems to have made it worse, I think, in terms of the whole kind of banter or this kind of hype, is the fact that they battered PSV. Now, I was outside the Emirates yesterday doing some filming. I was with the AFTV boys, and they all, do you know what I mean? All really down to earth, really placid guys. And I said, what do you make of last night? Were you that good? And they said, look, yeah, we battered them, but we always expected to.
Oops, sorry, I'm just going to take a phone call.
Sorry, mate. Go for it. Go for it. I'll continue what I was saying. What they were saying to me was they kind of expected it because Dutch teams don't tend to adapt. And what they were saying by that is Dutch teams don't go to a team that plays great football and go, right, okay, we're going to sit back a little bit here. We're going to tuck in. We're going to be hard to beat. They just go gung-ho. That's the way the Dutch teams know how to play. They play their beautiful football. And, they had their chances, but ultimately the Arsenal fans weren't really worried about it. And I don't know what you lot think in the chat, but for me, I think that's right. But because of that, the hype it's given to a lot of fans is, oh my God, Spurs are going to do exactly what PSV did. And I made this point last night. I've made this point for this last week. I think a lot of people don't understand how we play. I really don't think a lot of people understand how we play. We're not PSV. We're not Bielsa's Leeds. We're not going to go to Arsenal and just camp in their final third. That's not how it's going to work. This formation that he's set up, Kuva, I think people are misunderstanding because we've played a lot of teams so far that where we'll have all the ball. They just assume that we're going to spend 70% of the game with the ball and in the other team's third. But what we've actually got is grit and steel in that midfield. Basuma, Sarr, they're not just going to go gung-ho. These are guys that are disciplined when they need to be. Romero and Van der Ven will probably be told tomorrow to drop off 10 yards, 5 yards. They're not, Postecoglou's not an idiot.
He's not really sorry, mate. It's all happening. I'm going to go to the door now.
No, go, okay. Mate. Go, mate. You're all right. You can do what you got to do. So, I mean, let me know in the chat what you think, but it's so tough. I feel like, listen, especially as a YouTuber, I find it really difficult. I'm trying to sit on the fence, but the Arsenal fans make it impossible. They really, really do make it impossible to have a sensible conversation. James Hunter said, I have literally no idea what the result will be in this game. Could get battered. Equally feel we could batter them. Yeah, I'll be honest, James. I don't think it's going to go either of those two ways. I think it's going to be a very, very tight game with two good teams. Yeah, listen, absolutely. Yeah, if you don't work hard for Pep, you're not playing. I can't remember the last player that played for Pep Guardiola that doesn't work hard that lasted under his tutelage. Again, Ronaldo wouldn't have lasted 5 seconds playing for Pep. I truly believe that. Cal before said, let's be honest, Arsenal overachieved last season. Good team, not as good as they make out. Yeah. Is this sarcasm? I feel like this is sarcasm. Yeah, I was on AFTV yesterday. Watch out for that show that's coming out today. It is called Box to Box, and it's me and Turkish in a cafe in outside the Emirates. Lovely cafe, actually. Awful because I couldn't eat anything because of the diet I'm on. But yeah, it was. We started filming and then it absolutely pissed down with rain the moment the AFTV started rolling the cameras. So we went downstairs into a cafe. The cafe owner let us have a little area. AFTV got some pull, turned the radio off in there, and then me and Turkish had a conversation, a really good conversation, until he said they were going to beat us 5-1. And then I said, you've probably all seen it. Then I said, if you score 5 goals past us, I'll come live on AFTV and put on an Arsenal shirt. So, Coover, surely Spurs can't do that to me, can they?
You never rule out anything in football. That's the trouble. That's why you don't make bets like that.
I know. But it was in the moment. I was live on air. I was in the moment. I was like, nah, don't be silly. We're not going to concede 5.
For all we know, we could have 3 sent off in the first 20 minutes.
Oh, don't.
Like that,
I'm going to send him a contract with a few caveats at the bottom, like in the small print. Like,
yeah, I mean, if all's even playing field, it's not going to be a 5-1 game. No way.
I can't see it.
There's just too much fight and aggression in the midfield. I think it's going to be a struggle to create things, to be honest. Might end up having to look for one of those killer through balls or long balls, and that will suit some of our forwards more than it will suit theirs.
Yeah.
I really do feel that way. I think it's going to be quite scrappy, despite the talent on show. So 5-1, nah, it's just not happening. It's not happening.
I just can't see it. I mean, if Spurs do capitulate to 5-1, what I do want then is I think some of the fans will have to calm down a little bit on their aspirations, because if we go to a team and capitulate and let in 5, we're not ready for anything.
That'll be VAR and ref robbing us.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think as well, I mean, let's concentrate on what we can do. We talked about Arsenal a little bit. Let's talk about what we can do, Coover. We do play some nice stuff. We do. It is in its infancy. It will mould. It will be shaped to be better. I think everyone's still learning it. Now, where do you think our strongest area of the pitch is? And I'll tell you the reason I ask this is somebody messaged me this morning on YouTube, and they said, oh, did you know that every goal we've conceded so far this season has come from Pedro Porro's wing? I was looking back and I was starting to look and I was thinking, is that true? And I think all of them, other than the penalty that we conceded, I think was from that right-hand side. So, listen, feel free to say the right-hand side, but where do you think our strongest area on the pitch is right now?
It ties in with that, because you look at the left side and through the middle. We'll start with through the middle. We got basically Basuma is just bossing games. He is this dominant powerhouse midfielder, driving the team forward at every opportunity. Matas Sarr's doing his part, doing the box to box stuff. He's all over the pitch, runs tirelessly. I wonder what his running figures are like. They talked about Kulusevski. Matas Sarr's been putting in some real shifts time after time. When he gets substituted, he's exhausted at that point. He looks really giving it all.
You don't blame him though, Coover, right? He's in the last 2 years since he signed for Spurs. No manager. I mean, I can't remember him playing 90 minutes apart from AC Milan away.
Yeah. When we had to,
him and Skip.
What we had.
Yeah. And if
he
you
did
don't
well
play,
there as well, didn't he?
He did really well. But if you don't play players regularly, 90 minutes week in, week out after that is tough. Like that, it's really tough to just come in and hit the ground running, isn't it?
Oh, it's this style of football as well. It's lung busting. It's going to take players a few months to get really up to speed on it all. Despite all this fitness work that we did under Conte and stuff like that, and we're all lauding the fact that players were running to the point they're throwing up and things like that, and saying, "Yep, you should get that kind of level of fitness." This is something else now. This is why I think Big Andrew is so keen to say we're building a squad here. Not we're putting a team together. He needs a squad. He really does. It's going to take a while. It's going to take a while for the ones that are already here to get up to speed. So that's why we don't see it for the full 90 minutes. Sometimes we start off a bit sluggish. Yeah. And then that extra fitness starts paying off as the match wears on. And we no more evidence of that than against Sheffield United was there, deep in the stoppage time. But I think work in progress. We're getting better. That's all I'll say with it. Even with a team like Sheffield who are going to spoil the game, close down everything we could throw at them. We still managed to keep those shots going away, plugging away. I mean, it's the fact that a lot of them were straight at the goalkeeper that was so disappointing. Another time they start going into the side of the net, and you're starting to run up a cricket score because it forced them to come out. Against Arsenal, I see there being more spaces available. I see the pace and power in our team causing them all sorts of problems.
Agreed.
Because with the way we've done it, especially with the fact where you got Basuma and Udogie and players like that who are basically, and Van der Ven, press resist them. You go and press them, they'll just shrug you off. Or a little bit of skill from Van der Ven, he's past his man. You've beaten that first player in a press, and the press fails then because they need an extra player to come and meet that player. We've got ways to make it very awkward for other teams unless they abandon their shape to come and match us. Otherwise, they're going to have to concede some possession to us. Arsenal are going to find that awkward. They haven't come across playing against Postecoglou yet. So it'll be an interesting game from that point of view for me, because both teams want to have possession and both teams naturally inclined to get forward. I think we actually have players to hurt them more than they can hurt us at the moment. It's just something about this team, the core strength and everything. It also goes back to what you're saying about what's the strongest area of the team. Look at our left flank. You got Van der Ven's pace and power at the back there. A doggy who can tuck in both at the higher up the pitch or slot in close to Basuma if we're under a bit of pressure. You've got the power and pace to deal with everything. They're not going to get pressed. They've got the ability to get past a man if they are in trouble. It's a really solid lineup there. Plus the pace to go forward with the doggy. You litter that kind of strength and through the middle, which we're seeing as well. Maddison doing what he does, which is just about anything he can think of to cause problems for the opposition. And then you got a raw pace of Brennan Johnson. You got Solomon doing it. Solomon's running at the defence has been really good as well. I think there's more to come from him. I think he needs to get a little bit more that kind of ice cold finishing sort of head on him at times.
Yeah, for me, it's the decision make. Yeah. Listen, I was going to say to you, I think that everything you've said there is bang on. I think we've got ways to hurt them. They've got ways to hurt us. We'll talk about that later, but we've got ways to hurt them. And Arsenal fans talking like we've got no way to hurt them at all. It just doesn't make sense. You're right. Sheffield United come, they put a back five, then the three in front of them the four in front of them sit literally on top of them. And it's difficult because you spend 75, 80% of the time with the ball trying to figure out, keep the ball moving to pull players out of position, waiting for that one pass. This game's going to be the opposite for both teams. This game's going to be that one quick moment in transition where you go, wow, we countered that. They'll do it to us. They're going to do it to us when we're attacking. They're going to look for the ball over the top of Van der Ven and Romero because we're going to leave gaps. I think we're going to look to exploit Zinchenko, especially down the left, because he'll be high up the pitch. We'll be looking to get Sonny in behind Saliba and Gabriel. But this is what I was going to say about it. For me, this is where you've got to see Solomon. Let's assume it's the same 11. Solomon and Kulu, for me, this is where it matters. You're not going to get as many clear-cut chances. So when those moments come around, when you do break, this is where the decision-making for me is key. And this is where, when I've gone back into talking about Kulusevski, about Solomon, they have a lot of the football, but a lot of the time it kind of fizzles out. These clutch moments are where they're going to have to do the right thing and Spurs are going to have to be ruthless. If we can do that, I can't see a reason why we can't get a good result. But all of this fiddle-arsing about, you know what I mean? That's for me, that's the decider. You've got to be clinical in these games.
That's the word, clinical. That's the one thing I'd say has been lacking from our play this season. Where there are games where we should have had teams dead and buried under a period of domination. And we haven't quite done it. We usually get over the line. It has been working, especially in the league. We're unbeaten. Goals are flying in. So things are working, but it could be even better. And as you said, this is not a game like we've played this season. This is going to be premium chances, and you've got to convert them. That's what turns these games into wins, isn't it? It's what big time players do. They turn up in this sort of game and make that get that goal out of nothing, or put the finishing touch onto a wonderful move. That's what we've got to see. Same goes for them as it goes for us. You're right. I think this is a finely balanced game. I don't think Arsenal realise just how good we are playing, how well we're playing under Big Ange at the moment. It's a different kind of Spurs animal that I've seen for the last. Well, I don't even think I'll compare this with Posh's era. This is a different kind of football again.
I agree.
There's more power and aggression and direct running in this team. Defenders hate that. If you get somebody with pace running at you, it's the hardest thing in the world to deal with.
Yeah.
Because if you haven't got the pace, you literally cannot do anything about it. You've got to position yourself well and hope you time it. Could be a lot of fouls in and around the area, going both ways. I'll say that as well, because Saka's out, isn't he, for Arsenal?
Saka,
isn't he? Didn't I hear he was injured or something?
No, I haven't seen anything that Saka's not playing.
Martinelli's out though, isn't he? As Trossard will be.
I think Martinelli is 50-50 for the game. Again, different players, Martinelli and Trossard, both worry me. Both good players. Martinelli for me against Porro, I think that will be where they will fancy themselves, because Martinelli is he's an old school winger for me. He likes standing his defender up, and he doesn't mind how many times he has to go and then come back and then go again. Do you know what I mean? He likes to take his man on from a standing start. Saka's more of a moments player for me. But Martinelli, for me, is a real... I'll be honest, I prefer Martinelli as a footballer to Saka. For me, if I had one in my team, I think he's the danger man. And then also, we'll get to... Hey, I'll tell you what, we'll get to Arsenal's front three in a minute and to how we cope with them. I think the key thing for me here, I should probably go for some super chats. Sorry, that's very rude, very, very rude of me. Just quickly, Strasbourg Steve, big up, always a massive supporter of the channels. So morning, Savva and Kuva. And I think Strasbourg Steve's going to join us for the North London Derby watch-along. It'll be me, Haz, Perchy, Steve, the usual watch-along crew. And obviously, Kuva's always welcome, but he's more of a dip in before, during, and after guy rather than in the event. But big up to you, Steve. Big up to Top Gooner, who said, Savva, did you get your Arsenal t-shirt? 5-1 Arsenal. Do you know what, Top Goon? I'll be honest. If you guys batter us 5-1, I can only sit here as a fan and go, fair enough. I don't know what I can say at that point. If you batter us 5-1, I don't feel like there'll be any excuses. I mean, even the hardest of Spurs fans will struggle to find an excuse to us losing 5-1. But
conspiracy theory.
Conspiracy theories. The refs are paid. VAR's against us.
Yeah.
Jerome, big up to you, Jerome, has said Arsenal are going to sit deep and waiting to counter us, but we're going to give them a game, not the same Spurs. We'll talk about that in a minute. I don't think they will. I don't think that's Arsenal's style. I think what we did...
Especially as the home team, surely not.
Yeah, but what we did see in periods against Man United, they did sort of say, go on, Man, you can have the ball a little bit. But I think they knew with Man United they weren't going to do anything with the ball. I don't think they'll be that silly when we've got a James Maddison, a Sonny, a Basuma. I don't think they'll play that way. But listen, Jerome, I hope they sit back. If they do, it means they're not attacking us. But listen, thank you very much. Really appreciate that, Jerome. Then Vindaloo, we got the Arsenal fans coming in. Keep chucking your money in, Arsenal fans. It's welcome. Savva, I would normally predict this result as a draw, but Ange only knows attacking football, which is great to watch. Giving Arsenal space is a mistake. Vindaloo, I would urge you to go and watch us play. I said this yesterday. I said it on my show. I said it on the Big Six. I've said it all week. All the Arsenal fans that keep running out this line haven't watched Spurs play. You're making it out like we are Bielsa's Leeds, that don't defend, that don't have a tough midfield. That is not how we play. You're literally, I can tell you've not watched us and you're jumping on the media bandwagon that because Spurs are playing football again, it must mean that we're not defending. And we've only conceded one more goal than you have. and we've scored more. So just relax, Vindaloo. We'll see on Sunday. Todd Bowley is in the chat. Big old Todd. That's a great picture. That's the face of a man who's worth a few billion. I pray to God that you guys beat them. These Arsenal fans are becoming unbearable. Not going to lie. Do us a favour and beat them, please. I'll come to this in a minute, Cooper, but I'm getting this from all fans that I speak to that are not Arsenal fans. Everyone is getting so fed up with these Arsenal fans in the last 2 years, and I don't know, like they're walking around with this swagger as though they're Man City, and I think it's infuriating a lot of people now. Would that be fair?
Absolutely. To be fair, I'm a bit envious because I want to be walking around with that kind of swagger.
But you've got to, you know what I mean? That swagger comes with cause. Like, why are you walking around with swagger? Sorry, mate, we just won a treble. Do you know what I mean? Like that's the swagger. Jack Grealish bopping around, you know, in his...
What was that lead they blew last season? 9 points, was it?
It was about 9 to 10 points, yeah. Now, listen, I always said that I thought Man City had games in hand, but to completely capitulate the way they did without putting up a fight, then
you get carried away if maybe you're being chased by, you know, a misfiring Man United or us or you know, Brighton or somebody like that. When you're being chased by Man City, you do not get that carried away, because we have seen it time and time again. Man City in the last 15, 20 games of the season are more than capable of winning every single one of them. And they close gaps very quickly if they're trailing at that point.
And I'll tell you that
it's almost like the Arsenal fans have never seen that. They haven't learnt that. Everybody knows it except for them.
Honestly, Cooper, I believe that this year, after the back end of last season, and some of my good friends who are Arsenal fans, like one of my best mates is an Arsenal fan. And to be fair, he's more sensible. Like last season, I was saying, you're going to win it. And he was like, he kept saying, like, he's a bit like me. He was like, I'd love to. I just can't see it. They've got depth, they've got quality, and this is where City go into overdrive. This year, I'm like, where are you going to finish? He's like, I'm not getting, I'm not putting for the kids. I'm not putting my chest out. I'm not. But so many Arsenal fans are talking like they've just completed a treble. And that's fine if they don't learn. But the worry for them must be this year is Man City have played 5-1-5. And Man City's next 2 games coming up are Nottingham Forest at home and Wolves. So you'd probably fancy Man City to grab another 6 points there, if we're being brutally honest. And if Arsenal do drop points to Spurs tomorrow, slowly but surely, the lead starts going from that to that to that. So maybe they should stop running their mouths and try catching Man City. But listen, Adrian Chia has said, and reduce the fear of conceding goals. So far, yes. Obviously, Cooper and I are going to talk about this in a second about this being the best attack that we faced so far under Ange. We'll talk about that, but thank you so much. I really appreciate that. A couple of comments I just wanted to go over. Big Boss Man, I'm not sure what time Box to Box with AFTV is dropping today. The moment I'm tagged in it, I will repost it out on my YouTube. It's a good watch. Me and Turkish did have a good laugh. And apologies that it is indoors. Normally it is outside the stadium, but the heavens just descended upon us yesterday. I'll tell you what, look at this. I'll show you. Look at this. This was outside the stadium. Don't know if anyone can see that.
Nice.
Yeah, that is the moment we started filming, right outside Arsenal Stadium yesterday. And it was like, oh, wow.
That's still prime British summertime, isn't it?
But you know what? I left my house. It was quite nice. I left my house. I was like, should I take a coat? It's quite warm. I thought, I'll carry one. I'll carry a coat. You know, my mum always used to say, oh, you don't know what's going to happen. And Jesus, I was sitting there like with my coat over my head. But yeah, Big Boss Man said that. Alex has said, you talk about Arsenal fans, but this guy says Rice is average. He's one of the best DMs in world football. Who said he was average? Because Kuva certainly didn't. And I've said I really like Declan Rice. I'm not sure who said he was average. Let us know who said he was average and we'll take it from there. But
the difference between saying he's average or overhyped, isn't there?
Sure.
Neymar's overhyped, but he's a good player.
People don't like that. People don't like that nuance. People don't like that nuance.
True.
Like yesterday, a prime example. Last night on the show, I turned around and I said, but Burnley's style of football is commendable, but very naive. Right? Now, the reason I said that is both parts are really important to that sentence. People in the chat, the fact that Savva thinks their football is commendable shows why he's a Spurs fan. No. You left off the very naive bit, right? You left off the bit that made it not great, right? And that's football fans. Vindaloo said, Savva, I think it's going to be a great game. I think Spurs have made big steps from last season, but if they don't make tactical changes and go toe-to-toe again, you're not watched us play. Never mind. And Big D, big up to you, mate. Channel member said, morning, Savva and Kuva in chat. Happy Friday. How vital is it that we need Basuma to be man of the match, to have a chance of winning, excited and nervous at the same time? Yeah, I think Kuva touched upon it there. This guy is the one that's going to make us tick. No, he's going to be driving through. But before we come to Basuma, this is going to be a test for us, Kuva, because if you look at Arsenal's attack, whichever way we look at it, we can break it down and try and find weaknesses. We can try and, he's not that good and he's not that good. This is by far and above the best team we've played and by far and above the best attack we've played all season. Odegaard, Saka, Martinelli, Trossard, Jesus. This is going to be the biggest test for our back four. How do we cope with that movement, that pace, that guile?
Kick them up in the air. No, seriously, get aggressive with them. They're not going to like that for a start. Got to preempt these little passing moves and get in there early, break it up before it's even started. You can't have them turning around with the ball and picking passes. We've got to be on it. We've got to be aggressively swarming around them, give them no space, win the ball back as quick as you can. It's got to be a very, very aggressive mindset, because if you let Arsenal play, they will play. There's no doubt about it. They've got the players to do it.
Sure.
Same with us at the moment. If we're given space, we're going to exploit it. So that for me, it's not so much about the defense against their attack. For me, it's more about the defense and the midfield working together to nullify theirs, because we've got to deny space. We've got to work hard. We've got to have every player pulling his weight, and we've got to maintain that shape that Big Ange always wants, and that is the ability for a player to receive the ball, look up, and they've got 3-4 passing options. Mm-hmm. We need those. We might need Kulusevski, Solomon, whoever's playing on the left, to drop back deeper into the midfield for a lot of the game, just to build the numbers up, because Arsenal like to dominate there as well. So it's all about getting that tactical advantage in the middle for me, having the extra player over, which does mean you have to start pulling back from the front players as well. But like I said earlier, and as we know, we have got some pace and power in the team now. So even if we start off from a deeper position, Maddison dropping deeper as well. What happens? It's a great tactic that sometimes when we're lacking the numbers, he just drops back. The doggy rather than sitting, dropping back too, he just drops in to fill that hole that Maddison left. There's a passing option there all the time. I love the tactics we're using. It is primed to start an attack from no matter where you get the ball on the pitch. There's options open. We're working on that constantly. I think Arsenal are massively underestimating what we're going to do when we go there. I think it's going to be a very close game. Some of them, like rightly you said, there's predicting could be a close one. It's hard to predict an outcome, isn't it?
Of course it is.
That's the ultimately the overall feeling for me. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm just dying to watch it. It's the test. It's kind of boring if you go out and win every game 5-0. What's the contest? You want to be tested. You want to overcome things, don't you? Yeah.
Listen, no one had a good league season by not being tested. Every Man City get tested. By the way, just quickly, it wasn't me that said all 4 goals came from Porro's side. Someone messaged me. I was thinking about it. I can only say where the goals came from. Most of the goals are coming from our right-hand side. I'm not blaming Porro. But what it does show is if you are conceding all your goals from one side, it does show that the opposition managers are targeting you on that side. So it does show that there is a bit of work to be done. But I would expect that, Gree, because Porro is learning and evolving that position. He's a right wing back by trade, so he's learning and evolving that. So I would expect that. Just quickly, breaking news: Julian Nagelsmann has just been named the head coach of Germany. So he will not be taking a club job unless he's going to do it dual. He's just been named the Germany manager. That news has just broken fresh from Sky Sports News.
Do you see him as a national manager? I don't. I think he's a club manager. He's developing the players rather than dealing with the already established stars. I think that might not be as good an appointment as they think.
Yeah, I always find it difficult because some managers, like if you take, for example, I take somebody like a Jose and a Pep. If we look at two of the best from the last 2 decades, right? I look at them. These are people that love working with their players. These are people that love driving philosophy into the players' minds, working with them, tactics, training. Now, obviously, different tactics, but they both like to drum that in. When you're only picking up your players once every 2 months, and then you've got a week or whatever, I think there's certain managers that doesn't suit. Now, I think it kind of suits a Southgate. By the way, I'm not saying I like Southgate. I think it suits a Southgate because this isn't a guy that drills in a philosophy all day, every day. This isn't a guy that works with players, establishes a style of play, a tactic. I think Pep would get frustrated, for example, as a national manager, where he's implementing this philosophy. Then the players all go back to their respective clubs and don't play that philosophy, then come back to, do you know what I mean? So I agree with you.
Actually, Pep might be a bit different because if you give him the best of the best, he's going to find somewhere doing that. He'll keep it simple.
I mean, Pep's a different case, but you know what I mean? Like some managers look like they are day-to-day football people. Do you know what I mean?
Pochettino's another one as well. That was cool for him to take over as England boss. And I thought, nah, that's just not his thing. He does want to be on that training pitch, developing the younger players. That's where his strengths are. Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. Just quickly, I've not asked throughout the whole show. We are 52 minutes in. Please smash that like button. People, it really does help. So far, we've got just under 400 in here and only 120 likes. If 100 of you could go over and smash that, would be great. And we are now only 10 away from 11,200. So if 10 of you wanted to subscribe, the link is in the chat and it would be much appreciated. And I've got not a lot coming up for you tomorrow, but Sunday, we've got a 10 a.m. preview show. 1 p.m. we've got the live watch along with, I'm sure Kuva might be tempted to join us between 1 and 2 and then drop off at 2 for the game. And then at 8 p.m. we have got the Spurs review, which will be either absolutely buzzing or full of Arsenal fans giving it the absolute big uns. So join us at 8 p.m. on Sunday to find out which one that is. So,
it's literally a case of happy or angry, isn't it? Because even if we draw, we're still going to be quite content.
Yeah, listen. I'll take. Listen, as I said, I've taken a draw. I think lots of fans going, "Oh, want better." It's not about wanting better. Of course, I want better. Of course, I want to win every competition we play in. But if you said to me right now, 1 point from the Emirates for me, great away point at one of the toughest grounds in the country, right? 2, remain unbeaten. 3, absolutely shuts up all these gooners who have been talking about smashing us all over the park. I'm content with all of that. Now, if you had a win on top of that, if we sneak a last-minute Yunus Kabul header, if anyone remembers that, I will be delirious. And I wonder, all these Vindaloos in the chat and these Mikel Artetas and all these people, I wonder if they'll be readily available Sunday night should we beat them. I don't know, Kuva. What do you reckon? Do you reckon they'll be there?
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Why not?
Bit of fun.
Why not? Why not? They'll be it. Well, listen, I hope they are, because at the end of the day, I think it's really important that at the end of the day, all said and done, they're just football opinions. When all is said and done, all it is football opinions, and it is just a laugh. And, you know, the world isn't going to end whoever wins or loses on Sunday. The league isn't going to stop. It's not going to determine who finishes where. I'm seeing people saying, "Oh, whoever wins this game will challenge for the title. The other team will struggle for Europe." What on one game? I don't quite think it works like that. A couple of super chats here. Tigaro, single parent theory. Big up to you, Tigaro. I hope you're well, my friend. I said your picture of the rain raises a good point. Who does wet weather suit better? for me, I think both teams both like to play a get the ball down on the ground and pass style. I think
as long as it's not waterlogged. But if it's like
yeah.
a greasy, wet surface on the pitch, and
Yeah.
both teams will get the best out of that, it should make it better.
Yeah. Yeah, and big up to you, Taigaro. Thank you. Always so supportive. Thank you very much. And El Dante, another channel member, always supportive as well. I said, double dreaming. Come on, you Spurs. Please like and subscribe. Yes, thank you very much, El Dante. Please do like. Please do subscribe. We've only had 20 people like since I asked. And come on, there's 400 of you in here. We should easily be at 200 likes. And just remember, there are some YouTubers that won't start their show until they've got 200 likes. So come on, smash that like button, people. Big up El Dante.
There's a comment from Vindaloo at 10:57 that needs addressing because it's just ridiculous.
Let me get to it. God, I'm still at 10:45. Hang on one second. There's so many comments, mate. It's
fair.
That's why when people say, "Oh, you missed my comment," it's like, oh, I'm trying to talk to you. Look at the screen. Hang on. Here we go.
It's an easy. We don't necessarily have to bring it up. It's just like saying, don't judge yourself on the last 5 games. Which games are we supposed to judge ourselves on? We've got a new manager in that's only played those 5 games, playing an entirely different brand of football, and half of the stuff that was happening last season isn't there now.
Yeah.
What are we supposed to be judging on? 1973? I'm sure. You know, of course, we judge yourselves in the last 5 games. There's the old adage: you're only as good as your last game. That means nothing now, does it? You look at what's happening. It's called form, mate. Form does come into football.
Honestly, I've said it the last few days. Some of these Arsenal fans, they're getting so carried away that they're actually starting to be a little bit silly. Like, it doesn't feel like there's a lot of common sense creeping in. I get it, right? If Spurs had lost 4 games and then we won 1, and we go into the game going, oh my God, look at our last game, we're amazing. I'd go, okay, I get it. But I don't think the Arsenal fans quite understand how bad we were last year. And if they do, because they were mocking us, then they'll know that from last year to this season, it's chalk and cheese.
Yeah.
Cooper, it's absolutely chalk and cheese. And for me, it's not just the football, it's the belief. It's the energy around the club. I just can't see them going there and wilting and collapsing. If we lose, we lose. But I think we'll give them a game. That's the key thing for me.
And if it's not judging yourself on the last 5 games, how is he judging his team then?
Yeah.
Should we judge it on the end of last season where he capitulated and couldn't win for toffee? Yeah, that'd be all right then, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but you're doing that horrible thing, Coover, that you always do. You're applying common sense to a theory. And unfortunately,
I'll try not to, mate.
Yeah, please don't, because it ruins the Arsenal fans. I love this, dude. You're in a Spurs YouTube channel. I don't see us in an Arsenal YouTube channel right now, giving it large. Honestly, I've never known anything like it. Obviously, every North London derby, there's chest from either side, but this year just feels like these guys have chosen the time when we're happy. They've chosen the time when the club's in a good position with a good atmosphere, a good ethos, a good style of play, a togetherness. They've chosen this to be the time that they go gung-ho and say 5-1, 5-0. It's like, have you watched us play? What? I just don't get it. I just don't get it.
If we go on recent seasons as well, what's going to happen this season when the Gooner wheels come off again, like they always do?
Yeah.
How many of those fans are suddenly going to be, oh, Arteta out? Yeah, funny that. I remember a lot of that last season when they threw away the league title. I remember a lot of it the season before when they bottled finishing top 4. This is a manager that hasn't really done a lot for you. You got one squeezed your way through to 1 cup final and still think he's the Messiah. Where is he the Messiah? How? What are you doing that's made him that way? I don't even think you're going to get second place this season. I think Liverpool finish above you. Hell, I even think we might. It's a long shot for us because we're so weak with our the depth of our squad. But the way we play, I wouldn't fear being above Arsenal. Wouldn't fear not being above them. No problem.
Yeah, no, listen, I completely agree with you. Do you know what? Listen, I look at Arsenal in 2 ways in terms of lots of people talking about, has Arteta been successful? is Arteta a great manager or a good manager? And I think it's really difficult, this one, because not many teams, Kuva, go for like winning the FA Cup, eighth, 5th, 2nd. It's that would show an upward trajectory. But then a lot of Arsenal fans I know will say, well, okay, yeah, that's true, but we should never have been 8th and 8th for a start. And then in that season when they finished 5th, they're saying they should not have finished 5th. So I think it's really tough to judge. What I want to see is the Arsenal fans keep talking a huge game. At what point does that have to materialise in trophies? At what point do you have to say, okay, Arteta's this great team, this great manager. You're all telling us you're a great team. Saka's the best young player in the world. Odegaard's the best playmaker in the world. Saliba's the best centre-half. Rice is the best DM. Cool. So you're winning the league, right? You're winning the league. If that's the case, you're winning the league or the Champions League. If you're not, then relax a little bit. Do you know what I mean? If not, learn from the fact that you've not won the league title since 2004. Is 2004 the last time Arsenal won the league?
It's going back a while now. It's almost on par with us looking at trophies, isn't it? There.
When did Arsenal last win the league? (2003, 2004). So 20 years ago. Now, I wouldn't mind if this was Man City fans coming in and digging us out, but I just don't get it. I really, really don't.
Yeah, same. It's like you said, if last season was so fantastic to finish 2nd, there's only one place to go if you're improving.
Right.
Is that going to happen? No, I think you're going to finish a place lower, at least. I really do. I think Liverpool have got something about them. They got a manager like Klopp. Klopp is way ahead of Arteta in my book. He proved it time and time again. Serial winner. Knows how to build a team as well. When it's all been stripped away, that midfield's gone completely replaced. I think they're going to be very strong this season. I just don't see Arsenal keeping up with them. They will fight. They'll have a period where they're playing some nice football. We're beating a few of the smaller teams. Then they'll have a period when they play a few difficult games and they'll just fold again. What are they going to do in the Champions League? They'll get out of their group easy enough, meet somebody big, and get sent home with their tail between their legs as usual. Can't say we would do any different, but I know we've been crap for 4 years. We're not there sitting in, going 8th season after season, finally got our way back into the Champions League and we're the best around. We've got the best players in every position. It's so deluded.
No, but this is the thing. They're getting like again, Alex said we lost because I think he's talking about England lost in the World Cup because some Spurs bottle job. Harry Kane, he's talking about Mr. Penalty. I just want to take you back to the Euros. If we're going to play that silly, childish game, I want to take you back to the Euro final. Didn't Saka miss a penalty in a final?
Oh, he did, didn't he?
If we're going to talk. So again, this is what I mean. I feel like they say a lot, but they don't actually. I'm a huge believer. Engage this before these type. Do you know what I mean? Engage this. Let your thoughts run all the way down your arms to your fingertips and go, hang on. Stop. Actually, no, that doesn't make sense. Abe has said, these Gooners need to be reminded they finished behind us 8 out of 10 times in the last decade. Yeah. And then one year they finish above us.
Really? Yeah, quite a statistic, that.
Yeah.
Because we know we've been shambles.
Absolutely. Mix Mitchell has said Arteta is a serial bottle job. Do you know what? I don't even see him as a bottle job. I just think that you've got to remember, and I'm not sticking up for him here. I'm not sticking up for Arsenal here, but sorry, by the way, sorry, what? What? Sorry, Kuva doesn't drink a lot.
Oh, I might after the North London derby when we battered them.
But I know you have a tipple. But sorry, what is this? Listen, Raul, I'm gonna, if Kuva's cool with it, I'm gonna let that slide this one time. But,
no, it's just standard stuff. Doesn't bother me.
Yeah, but it bothers me. Listen, that because I don't think that telling anybody to go to rehab is not funny, my friend. Grow up or get out.
I'll look at it this way. Let's see his name. Are you going to remember it tomorrow? I won't.
No, I know, but I won't have that because I've had friends that have gone to rehab. not funny, not easy, and destroys lives. So I won't have that to anybody. But listen, back to where we were. I'm not sticking up for Arteta here, Kuva, but I think, unfortunately, he's been not unfortunately. Hey, let me get my words right here. He's been thrust into this position of, right, go and make Arsenal great again. And then when we compare him to Klopp's and Arteta's, it's not his fault that he's not. Klopp's and Pep's. It's not his fault that he's not. Klopp is a vastly experienced Champions League, Premier League, German League winning manager, right? Pep Guardiola is a German League, Spanish League, English League, Champions League, multiple-time winning manager. You can even Jose Mourinho, Ancelotti. Arteta's not that. So I just think with that in mind, I would take a step back as a fan and go, okay, right, my guy isn't as good as this guy. So let's give him some breathing space. But again, you know what I always say, Kuva? When we put, we football fans, when we put players and managers on this pedestal, nowhere to go from there. Nowhere to go. Don't put them on that pedestal, Arsenal fans. Then when it doesn't work, want to retract.
Imagine we're without a manager and all the managers in the world have lost their jobs. There's that whole pool of ones to go for. Where you go to is going to be, it's going to be the likes of Pep, Klopp, Ancelotti, somebody of that stature. It's going to be big names that want it. Mourinho, even Conte, despite what happened with us, it'd still be in that sort of mix. It's like insanely big names that you go for something. Then there's going to be a pool of people like Arteta where you think, well, you could go for him, but I think I'd want to have another look around and see if there's something else. I just don't feel anything about him. I don't see what he's proved. All he's proved to me is that if you spend ridiculously large amounts of money for his team, he can get them to play some nice football, but at the end of the day, no character in there, and they're still going to bottle it. So it's kind of like us with spending more money when we're not sure on the manager. And mind you, we have those periods where we don't spend anything on the manager at all. So we've been a mess, but yours has been a structured mess. It's structured nothing. What are they doing?
Just quickly, Agal, big up, man. Haven't spoken to you for ages. Hope you're well. So, Agal, do you remember when I used to come onto the football terrace and school you? Do you remember when I used to come on and school you about how Arsenal weren't winning the league last year? And you sat there as arrogant and as brazen as you like. I like Agal. He's funny, but it was arrogant. It was, we're winning the league. And I sat there and said, you City are winning this league. You're salty. You're a Spurs fan. Gal, I'll tell you what I'll do, man. I love you to bits. I'll give you the link. You can come on and tell us what happened at the end of last season. Gal, he's got his get over there, support Gal. Gal Talks Football is his channel. He's got a big Arsenal YouTube channel. He's a good guy, but he is the Pied Piper of delusion. There you go. That's your title, the Pied Piper of delusion. Gal, feel free to come on. Let me know. I'll happily have you come on my stream and tell me I was right about last season, and you can tell us why we're shaking. I've not seen any Spurs fan shaking. But big up to you, Gal. Big up to you.
I'll tell you what, in previous seasons, and I know a lot of Spurs fans have been the same. In previous seasons, this game comes up and we're thinking, oh, God, we never win that. No, we're just not going to do it. I'll take a point right now. This season, such is the effect of this manager and the football we're playing now, there's a lot of us thinking, you know what, it's time we sort of make that record a little bit better. I really do feel like we can nick something here. I genuinely believe it. Before I say it out of hope, this time I see a way of doing it. I see a tight game, but I do see a possibility of winning that.
Yeah. Yeah, listen, I agree with you. Listen, as I said, I'm all of this, I have said I make Arsenal favourites. I think it's disingenuous to not. They're at home. They should. Do you know what I said last night, Kuva? Arsenal should be beating us. This is a team that are in their fourth year with their manager. This is a team that are 4 years into a process, or whatever you want to call it, a project, that have completely revamped the entire team, the entire playing style in 4 years with their manager. The players know each other. They know each other inside out. They've played together for years in this philosophy. This is a Spurs team that have played 5 league games under their new manager with a new philosophy, with a lot of the old players that we had before. So they should be winning. They should be beating us.
Against the side that has periods where we don't have a director of football, we're constantly sacking backroom staff and scouts and coaches. We haven't had a manager that's started and ended the same season for 4 years. We've been absolutely shambolic, and we're on the start of yet another rebuild. And what's happening backstage, well, not backstage, but off field now with sacking like the head chief scout and possibly Paratici out again. We're rebuilding the current rebuild. I mean, if Arsenal don't beat us, they've got to start looking at themselves and go, Jesus Christ, where do we go now? Because that money has been spent. Was it 600 million in the last 4 years or something? It's a ridiculous amount. And what are they doing for it? They've got to be winning things now. So they should have a lot of fear about not smashing us. If they don't do it, their season is not looking so rosy, is it? Whereas ours, even if we lose, which I really don't think we will, even if we do, it's the start of a new manager. It's fine. I'm okay with it. Just brush it off. Off we go again. We are looking years down the road. Arsenal have got to do it right now. The pressure is entirely on them, not us. I love being the underdog. It's a good time to be it.
Listen, I agree. I just think, listen, you know me, Cooper. I try and bring some perspective. I'm not sitting out here saying Tottenham are going to win. I'm not. I've actually predicted. You've heard me say it all week. I've predicted the draw. I think if a team wins, I do think it's going to be narrow either way. But what makes me laugh is it descends. What I'm seeing in the chat is it descends into we've won more than you. Sure, we can have this debate every year. We know Arsenal have won more than us. I don't think any Spurs fan is arguing that Arsenal have won more than us. But we're talking about this game. The pressure on Arsenal is huge, this game, for me. Yeah. I don't think the pressure on Spurs is. New manager, 5 games into it. The pressure on Arsenal is massive because if they do get beaten by Spurs 5 games into the manager's reign, and you've had your manager for 4 years to build what you want, the questions then need to be asked of, well, why didn't you win? Why didn't you beat us? Just quickly, a super chat here from Strasbourg. Steve said some Arsenal fans saying they will smash Spurs based off the one PSV result, but then have the nerve to say Spurs fans, it's only 5 games, chill out. Steve, stop using common sense. People don't like logic and common sense in football chats. Don't do it.
There's the one to add to it as well. They'll say, oh, well, PSV are a great team. They're top of the Eredivisie. But if you follow the Eredivisie, you'll know the sort of teams PSV have played so far. They weren't hard games.
Yeah, just quickly, a couple of comments that Scott Jones put in. Listen, he's been nice and polite. He's not being silly, so I like to answer it. Said, Savva, put all biases aside. Arsenal were doing great and were better than City for the most part of the season till Saka missed the pen at West Ham. So why should we not have believed the win of the season? Right, Scott, here's the difference. No one said you shouldn't have believed it, but it was the utter assurance that you were going to win it. So when I was speaking to Arsenal fans, and I kept saying, this is the thing, you guys should have learned. Everyone knows what happens to Man City in January or February, Kuva, every year. January, February, what happens at Man City?
Kick into gear, don't they? And string together a dozen wins in a row and cruise up the table at rapid speed.
Right. So if you know that and I know that and we don't support them, this is what I said to the Arsenal fan, Scott Jones, last year, is it's all well and good being on a good run, but your good run, someone always taught me this, has to happen at the business end of the season. You could be in a great run from game 1 to game 20. That's brilliant. But the last 10 games of the season, the last 15 games of the season is going to determine whether you win that league or not. Not you, I mean any team. And the difference is Man City from January, February onwards, I think we beat them, right? And then we beat them and then they changed everything and didn't lose for like 28 games in all competitions or something ridiculous. And that's what they do.
There was that amazing statistic last season. I wish I could find it at the moment. But it analysed City's something like last 12 or 15 games of every league season. and they went back about 6 years, and there was like one game where they didn't win.
Yeah,
and it was like,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And this is the thing. And I think this is listen, and this is where I try to bring perspective, because I know fans just want to be ultra biased. I'm not saying it's Arsenal biased, Spurs biased, Chelsea biased. Everyone gets biased. But when you actually take a step back and look at it, the reason Man City, for me, were always going to win that league is threefold. Three things, Kuva. Pep Guardiola's been there, seen it, done it, best manager in the world. Their squad is better than Arsenal's squad. Yeah. And their players have the know-how how to get over the league every single season. You look at that Arsenal, you look at that City team now. You look at it. John Stones, Ederson, Carl Walker. I'm not going for it, but you'll notice the players I'm naming in a minute. Stones, Diaz, Walker, Ederson, Ake, Rodri, De Bruyne, Foden, Grealish, Haaland. These players are well-versed in pressure. They are well-versed in, all right, guys, we've not done well this month. Right, do you reckon we should not lose a game for the next 3 months? Come on, boom. Arsenal didn't have that with Arteta. Now, everyone said I was being salty, but it's true. You didn't have it. You don't have the depth. If Man City lose Vardiol, they put Diaz, Stones, Ake, Akanji in. If you lose Saliba, you were putting in Kiwior or Holding. There's a huge difference. And just the last thing from Scott Jones before I come to some Spurs comments, said, you are creating excuses. Arsenal are ahead in a so-called process, but aren't you a team in great form and Arsenal having a poor start? Again, Scott, unfortunately, this is the last comment I'll bring up from you because you don't seem to listen. I don't think Arsenal have had a poor start in any way, shape or form. You've had a really good start. Your performances haven't been the same as last season, but you've had a great start. You've won 4 of your 5 games in the league, drawing the other one, and you've won your first Champions League game 4-0. So no one said you've had a poor start. There's no backtracking. Listen, you've picked the wrong Spurs fan. You've picked the wrong Spurs fan. I don't get ahead of myself. These other Spurs fans sometimes will get annoyed at me for not being more that way, right, Kuva? Like probably not going more that way. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good old, here he is. Dave has come in a chat and said Arsenal are getting battered like the fish this weekend. We'll give you Saka back when a doggy takes him out of his pocket. Now, there you go, Scott. There you go, Scott. This is the guy you want to be talking to, right? Not me. Big up, Dave. Big up, Dave. I love that.
Why not? I love all this stuff. David's right. Something else he said in the comments. It's derby weekend. If you can't like talk smack on this sort of game, when are you gonna? It's
sure, but you got to live with it, right?
I'm all for it. I mean, I wanted to come on and do the usual delusional bit. I love doing it at the moment. We're battering everybody 7-3, but I thought I'll tone it down a bit just for you, Savva, because you like to keep it so realistic.
Listen, anyone can say what they want, but what I don't want is people then coming at me to say things I've not said. Like, I've not said Spurs will win. This question is simple, Ivan. Arsenal are a better team. Arsenal have been in your building process, whatever, for 4 years. Your director of football's been in place with your manager for 4 years, right? Your ownership 3 or 4 years ago changed to the point where you changed the philosophy as a club. Your players have been there for years, most of them anyway, right? Of course you're better than us at the moment. Not denying that. I'm not delusional, mate. So the pressure is on you, Ivan. The pressure is on you. If you don't win, where's your excuse? Hashtag just saying.
Where is it? Comment from Alex on 11:24. It's about the money being spent.
Right, I'll find it. 1 second. I'm nearly there.
There we go. It said we spent incredible amounts of money over the last few years. We spent 594 million and you spent 521 million over 3 years. Yeah, fair. And what do we say about the way we've been spending money at this club? Awful. We're almost united in saying we have squandered it. We've bought insanely badly. Our transfer policy's been a joke for a lot of it. You, on the other hand, spend that amount of money and think your automatic will beat us. It's just not happened, has it? Both clubs should be rightfully criticised over it.
I agree. I completely agree. Let's look for some happy Spurs comments. Where are we? A big up, Danny. who's been a channel member for 3 months now. Big up to you, mate. And I believe happy anniversary is in order for you and your wife. Big up to you, and lovely meeting you the other week in our village, or my village, our village. Arsenal are bigger than Spurs, but will never be up there with the real big teams till they win the Champions League, like 99% of the big clubs do. Just chucking in the jab there, old Danny. Flying Solo said City did similar in 2021. We were about 9th in December that reeled off 15 league wins in a row, which fired them to the title. This is why. Do you know what? Every season with the funny thing with Man City, every single season, Kuva, I see people in the summer go, oh, I don't know, they've lost Gundogan and Mahrez this year, or last year, or they've lost Sterling, Zinchenko, Jesus, have they lost some depth? The year before, oh, they've lost Fernandinho, and they just keep going. It's like, when are we going to stop pretending that Pep doesn't know what he's doing, right?
Saw it with who's always regarded as the greatest manager in the Premier League of all time, Sir Alex Ferguson, of course, because he won all those trophies. He didn't worry about selling off Beckham. He didn't worry about selling off Jaap Stam. It no problem. You just get rid of a star player. You just replace them with another. It's what the big clubs do. So Pep's got no problem with just players going. Oh, that's all. Most other clubs, they panic with it. Brighton obviously don't. They know what they're doing transfer-wise. Yeah. Brentford as well is another one in that sort of thing. But the rest of the so-called big clubs, and I will include the likes of Villa, Newcastle, Everton, ourselves, Arsenal, been getting a lot of things wrong on transfer policies. A lot of money spent on players that have been awful. But for every Ndombele we've got, Arsenal have had a Pepe. For every Lo Celso we spent big money on, they've got Ozil. We've made big mistakes when it comes to big money. That's the simple fact of it. But to say I shouldn't criticise them for spending all that money, of course I will, because I criticise us for doing exactly the same thing.
Absolutely. Dave has got his Saka missing posters ready to go. Listen, that is one, I'll be honest, Dave, that is one matchup I'm really intrigued to see, is the Saka versus Udogie. I think that should be fascinating to see. What I will say, guys, it's a good show this morning. Kuva, if you're good for another half an hour. We'll go for another half an hour. The numbers are up. Obviously, North London derby just 48 hours or so away. To give it its correct time, 50 and a half hours to go until the North London derby. 50 hours, 2 sleeps for all the excited people out there. But there are a lot of people in here. Smash the like button. We're only at 197, and there's just under 470 of you in here. And please, we're only 8 subscribers away now from 11,200. So if people would be so kind to smash that subscribe button, it is pinned, and I've just put it in the link. And then what I will do as well is send you over at 12 o'clock to Perchy, my son. Have you met my son, Perchy?
Yeah, he's been around a bit, hasn't he?
Yeah, I do like Perchy. What a lovely guy, by the way. Anytime I see somebody having a go at him, like properly, I always think, honestly, you don't know, this guy's a really, really top guy. Will do anything for you personally and in the YouTube world. So top guy, Perchy, and we're adding the redirect. And so we'll go for another half an hour. And then we'll take it from there. But big up, keep getting your comments in, Spurs fans and Arsenal fans. Savva, is Turkish deluded? Yes. And I told Turkish this to his face live on camera. Yes, absolutely deluded. Hence why I bigged myself up and said, you know what? You do that, right? If you do that, I'll put on a Spurs shirt. Here he is talking about this, Perchy, saying Arsenal fans are the definition of shameless. I expect all of you in here if Spurs do go and win. Scott Jones has come back in and says, Savva, let's extrapolate your reasoning that Arsenal were ahead in their structure. Well, it's not. There's nothing to extrapolate. You've had your manager and director of football and scouts for 4 years under this guy. We've had ours for 3 months. I don't think it takes any extrapolating. Arsenal never bottled the league last season. As City were way ahead. I didn't say Arsenal bottled the league. I've actually one of the people that didn't think you were ever going to win it. Scott, you've got to use these. There's two of them on either side of your head, so that if one of them's not working, you can still hear, but you don't. Big up to everyone in the chat. Kuva, I just want to say something. Vicario. Just want to say, just out of nowhere, I've seen a lot of keepers this year. Sanchez has come into a bit of stick at Chelsea. Onana has been nothing short of comical. Right, Onana skin. Nothing short of embarrassing, really. It's been comical. All the while, Vicario, for 16, 17 million euros, has kind of just gone under the radar, gone about his job. I haven't seen him make any mistakes. I haven't seen anything that makes Match of the Day go, oh my God, did you see Spurs' new keeper? He can be quietly pleased with what he's done so far at Spurs, can't he?
Yeah, I've got to hold my hands up now and say I thought it was a huge mistake us not signing Raya, because I thought he fitted what we needed like a glove. So what did we do? We got a young, talented goalkeeper, not known for being a sweeper keeper, who I didn't really spot anything to suggest he was going to be a good distributor of the ball, which is what we were looking for. But we did sign a talented goalkeeper. Right. So he started off doing exactly that. He's been very solid. Pre-season, he got stick for conceding goals that were being scored from inside the 6-yard box with free hits from the forward. Most keepers are going to concede those. It would be a wonder save if he didn't. So he's quietly got on with it, being a good goalkeeper. And what I did like is he came out and said, look, I'm not used to this role. It's going to just take a bit of time. And sure enough, he's been working at it, getting better and better and better. And I also like the way he's clearly so verbal with his defence as well. That is such an important part of the goalkeeper's role. Keep on them. Keep your defence where you want them. You can spot the danger better than they can a lot of the time, because you don't have to concentrate on the man that's right next to you. You can look at the whole game. It's almost a football manager type role being in goal when the ball's in play. So I think he's just very much under the radar, like you said, and he's turning out to be exactly what we needed.
Yeah,
a good quality shot stopper that's learning the game and improving all the time. I think he's absolutely he's been a steal so far. Turned out that my disappointment in not getting Raya is looking like good business after all, because saved a lot of money on him, and that money can go towards other areas of the pitch. Perhaps it did. Perhaps some of those other signings weren't possible without him. Perhaps we might not have got Mickey van der Ven without turning down Raya and going for Vicario. Who knows? I do believe, despite what that I think we shouldn't be in this position, but we certainly do seem to be strapped for cash, don't we? We are looking at bargains and cheaper ways to do things. That ties in with how much money we have squandered over the last few years. So we're in that position. Sometimes you just got to say you've pulled out a nugget from that little dip into the pool, and Vicario is looking like our little bit of gold at the back there.
Do you know what? The way I see it is this: people go on YouTube, we're as much to blame as everyone else, because or as Perchi always says it, the difference with us is we're the same as all the people in the chat. The difference is we put our face to the opinion, right? So no one will remember all the opinions everyone has in the chat comments because there's so many people there. But because I'm on camera, people always remember. What I'll stand up and say is there are signings that at the time, of course, as football fans, we'll go, oh, don't want him, really want him, gutted we missed out on him, whatever. But like Brennan Johnson, I didn't want Brennan Johnson, right? I don't know how he'll turn out for Spurs, but you know what? If Ange Postecoglou has identified that that's a player he wants, who am I to say I don't want him? Yeah? It's down to Postecoglou and Brennan Johnson now to show fans that were sitting on the fence that we can sit here in a year's time and go, cool, that was a good signing. I was wrong on that one. That was a good signing.
Absolutely.
Yeah? Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I've always been an advocate for forget looking at the price tags. Just look at the player. Is that somebody that fits what the manager's after? We've got a habit of signing players that aren't what the manager wants. There was a big thing about Pochettino turning down players, and then one hand, he'll get blamed for turning the players down. On the other hand, it will be a case of, we clearly backed the manager. All these players were on offer. It's like, if it's not the player you want, it's a bad signing. It really is. We've done this time and time again. You look at Jed Spence last season. That's one of the most recent bits of evidence to show this. Clearly not wanted by the manager.
Yeah.
So unless you actually start addressing this, and I think years back with you tended to get people like Paul Mitchell would probably be on Levy's case about that. You've got to go tailor what you're bringing in for the manager, and he's put on gardening leave for it. We've got problems still. We're now sacking the people that seem to be getting it right. I mean, I was skeptical of Paratici. I know I've gone sort of a bit off track here, but skeptical of Paratici, looking at the signings coming in. But then you hear about, it's actually he's the driving force behind what's happening with the academy and scrapping the wage cap so we can get those higher, more quality, more talented players in. Because before they wouldn't come to us because we pay peanuts.
Yeah, of course.
Now it's all happening and things just going right, and I think, we've got somewhere, we've got something here, we're going forward, and then suddenly all out the window. Scott Munn's in, off you go. Gabbanini, bye-bye. And it's like, we've just had a relatively good window. Not as many players as we hoped would come in, but the ones that did come in have been good. It was a really good sense of going forward, and the rug's pulled immediately to the background noise of yet more corporate waffle from Cullen and Levy. Like I said before, I'm absolutely nuts about our manager. I think he's best thing that's happened in donkey's years. But for him to win something, and I do believe he will win something with us, it's going to be in spite of our board. He's going to have to pull the rabbit out of the hat in a big style. It's going to be a minor miracle needed. I just think he can do that.
Yeah. No, I think it's interesting. I mean, look, listen, I mentioned Vicario, and the funny thing is, do you know, honestly, these Arsenal fans are hilarious. You mention Arsenal, and the first thing they can say is, isn't as good as our goalkeepers. It's like first and foremost, like, no one said they were. Like, they're really insecure. I think they're really insecure about their own team, that everything feels like it needs to be based against them. It's like when we talk about Maddison having a brilliant, he's not as good as Odegaard. It's like, well, first of all, we weren't comparing him. So I'm not saying he is or he isn't, but first of all, we're not comparing him. Second of all, why does everything need to come back to an Arsenal player? It just doesn't. Moschino, I don't think you've ever seen us play. It just feels very strange, some of these comments that are coming in. Very, very strange. Smash the like button, people. There's 444 of you in here. Only 216 likes. Please do smash the likes. It really does help. And we're still 8 away from 11,200. The link is in the chat. I can't ask any more politely. Please do smash that subscribe button. It would be much appreciated. I think today's really, really showed that the North London Derby is happening this weekend, Kuva. Sometimes I like it. You have a conversation on screen and then you see the kind of side battles that are going on between fans in the comments. And I'm trying to concentrate here, but I'm reading that. And it's just it's just really funny. Like, honestly, you say...
As soon as you get a following like yours, it's impossible to keep up with everything.
Oh, it's absolutely brilliant, though. Like, honestly, I could literally sit here and go, God, hasn't Basuma done well? And then straight away someone will go, oh, they think Basuma's better than Rice. And you're like, well, I didn't say that. But like how easily you can get triggered. I remember though, for those fans, I do remember being that fan when I was at school. I remember when I was a kid and couldn't process reasoning. I couldn't process it. But these Arsenal fans are another level. These are, okay, I just like, I love this. So what I'm reading, I might have missed loads of this, but what I've seen here is proud to be a Geordie. I love proud to be a Geordie. It said, Arteta is a crap version of Emery. Right. To which the next comment, all I've seen is, Geordie is miles better than Howe. like, I mean, Arteta versus Howe. Could you say Arteta's a better manager than Howe? What has Arteta done to prove he's a better manager than Eddie Howe throughout his career?
No. What where Eddie Howe proved himself was with a tiny little club like Bournemouth, taking them into the Premier League and keeping them in there season after season while playing good football. Meanwhile, having all that massive financial constraints over him because they just did not have that kind of money that other clubs do. That's where he earned his reputation, and quite rightly so. The only reason they got relegated in the end was because of an injury crisis, which could happen to a lot of teams. Everton better be looking pretty nervously over their shoulders at the moment. And that's the team that spent massive amounts compared to Bournemouth. Eddie Howe has proved himself at this level. Arteta still has to. He's been taken over, let's face it, and as much as we hate them, Arsenal are a big club.
Of course, they're a massive club.
Yeah.
They're a massive football club.
So,
this is the thing. I'm never going to deny these things, Kuva. I'm not an idiot that goes, oh, they're tiny, they're Arsenal, they're Woolwich. They're massive. They're a massive football club.
Absolutely. Don't like admitting it, but they're bigger than us. But because they've had that success and they got a bigger fan base worldwide. It's just a basic fact, isn't it? So all that put in place, you go in as a manager there, you have got to perform to those level of expectations. Has he done that? I don't think he has.
No, I agree. We'll come back to that 1 second. Australian Gooner, listen, I can't see every comment. Do you know what? There's over 450 people in here. The chat is going mad. I can't see every God-given comment that gets put in. So I sometimes I have to pick and choose. As I'm scanning, I'm like, oh, what can I see? Apologies that you're very, very sensitive about that. You're right, Kuva. You are right. I mean, look, I'm not going to sit here and have a massive debate about, oh my God, Howe is much better than Arteta. But it's the disrespect that's immediately thrown to Eddie Howe. This is a manager that, cutting his managerial teeth, took his club from one game away from going into the National League Conference, right? If anyone knows their football history, Bournemouth were one game away from going out of the Football League and into the conference, right?
Yep.
And in the next 9 years, he took them, I think it was 9, maybe less. He took them from League Two to the Premier League. That is phenomenal. This sort of thing doesn't happen every day. Can anyone name me other managers that have taken their club from League Two to League One to Championship to Premier League? Not just to get them there, Kuva, but for 3 or 4 years, whatever it was, had them playing some good football and in the top half of the table of the Premier League. Then, then it ran out and they got relegated. He then went away. And it's been widely documented that he went away and learned with the likes of Ajax, Barcelona, Real Madrid. He went and studied their training sessions to improve himself as a man and as a manager. Now, improving yourself as a man is a really important point that I've made there, because most people go, oh, I shouldn't have been sacked. He didn't do that. Right. How can I be better for when I come back? He's then gone into Newcastle United, who were bottom of the league, hadn't won for 13, 14 league games, right? Got them flying up the table, and then in the next year got them Champions League football. This man deserves an absolute medal. Wherever he goes, he makes them better and has been phenomenal. How can you compare that CV to Arteta's?
Exactly. Arteta's at the fledgling manager. That's it.
Right.
That is fact. He has not been in the game long doing this job. So he may turn out to be very good for him, but at the moment it's still to be proved. He's a work in progress himself, much like the team is. I think way too early to start comparing him to people that have been around for donkey's years and achieved really big things. By the way, answer to your question about somebody taking a team from basement level all the way up to the top. I'm thinking back on Wolves when they had Steve Bull and Andy Mutch up front. I've forgotten, it's Turner, the manager's name. I forgot. It's not Chris. Is it Graham Turner? I think it might be Graham Turner. Anyway, he's one of the few that's
manager. Sorry.
Also, Wimbledon, when they had that meteoric rise, was it always? Yeah, that's him. That's him. Wimbledon had a meteoric rise from non-league all the way up into the top division. I'm trying to think if that was always Dave Bassett there. Probably not, but it's freak little fairy tale stories, isn't it? Got to appreciate the talent that goes into that. Really, really driving it. what Luton have done, fantastic as well. Even to a lesser degree, Chris Wilder at Sheffield United, when he brought them up for that season, and they were playing great football when they stayed in the division. And then he had some sort of fallout about signings. It seems to be a regular thing with the manager and chairman falling out, and the manager goes because they argue about transfers or something along those lines, usually. Manager always wants more, but what Chris Wilder did was excellent. They had a team much sort of unfancied, not fashionable, coming up, staying well and truly in the top half of the table and playing good football. What's happened at Brentford, same thing. It's context with all of these people. You go in and you're managing one of the biggest clubs in the world, you've got to deliver trophies. There's no way around that. It's where we've always been failing. This is why we're behind some of the other teams now. It's because we haven't been delivering silverware. We're not viewed as this like successful powerhouse in football anymore. We've got to try and claw our way back there. We've got resources to do it, but no, it's just not happening at the moment. We're in hope all the time. Arteta's got it all there in place. The money's in place. The project apparently they're staying with, but this project has to deliver, and surely that's this season, isn't it?
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, what I've done, I've just had a look at Bournemouth's league finishes. So I wanted to just check that I wasn't chatting absolute waffle, and as normal, I'm not. Right, so here you go. Right. So in the 2008-2009 season, Bournemouth finished 21st out of 22 teams. They stayed up on the last day of the season, right? So this was 2008-2009. The next season, Eddie Howe got them promoted to League One. So they started their rise in 2009-2010, only 13 years ago. They then spent 3 years in League One. And in both seasons, 6th, 11th, and then 2nd. Bearing in mind they just got promoted and they got to the Championship. So now 2013, 2014, they played in the Championship and finished 10th. The next year, 2014, 2015, they won it. So from 2010 to 2015, right, 6 league seasons, Eddie Howe went from League 2 to the Premier League in 6 years. That is ridiculous, Kuva. Like, when we say things like people going over the top, and that is phenomenal.
Yeah,
6
absolutely.
years. Now, let's put that in perspective. Let's put 6 years in perspective. In that time, in 6 years, what have Tottenham done in the last 6 years? What have Arsenal done in the last 6 years? Yeah? 6 years. That is, I'm sorry. Then they went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seasons in the Premier League. 5 seasons in the Premier League.
On a shoestring budget.
On a shoestring budget. And in the Premier League, their league positions, first year they finished 16th, you'd expect that. Then 9th, then 11th, then 13th. Like, on a shoestring budget, this guy should be getting statues made of him. But what the Arsenal fans would say, he's not better than Arteta because he's below them in the league right now. But Arteta never went and done his... Arteta has never gone and proven. Arteta's never gone and shown anyone that he can work his way up. He got given the keys, so to speak. Yeah. Everyone else was being given a Skoda by their mum and dad. This guy was given a Ferrari. Jumped straight in.
It's okay to be given the Ferrari, but you've got to learn how to drive it fast. Pep, the argument's used the same as with Pep. He inherits a great Barcelona side, always goes to the top clubs. Yeah, he does. And then he gets them winning trophies, exactly what they want from him.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how you prove yourself. If you go into the big clubs, you've got to prove yourself over the period of time. That's what the great managers do. That's why Pep's up there. That's why Klopp's up there. That's why Alex Ferguson was up there. That's why Ancelotti's there. It's proven time and time again over multiple clubs for a lot of them as well. and that's what separates you from the chaff. We're talking about Arteta. I'm not going to rule him out. Maybe he does turn out to be a good manager. Maybe he turns out to be a very good manager. But this is early days for him, and this is not proof that he's great at the moment. He needs to do something. That it's got to be silverware.
By the way, just quickly, this isn't true, Luton, Dan. This is not true. This is the beauty of having the internet at my fingertips. Luton didn't. Luton went from... Now, Luton's story is amazing. No one's knocking that. Luton were in the Conference League in 2014. Then they went to League Two in 2014 and then got in the Premier League in 2023. So they took 9 years, 10 years. But listen, I'm not knocking that achievement, by the way. There's Steve. Big up to you, Steve. I just feel like, again, it's context, right? It's context of what managers have done. You know, we can turn around and say, oh, Arteta's better than Eddie Howe. But for me, I think what Eddie Howe's gone and done in a short space of time, he took Newcastle from bottom to fourth in 18 months. Arteta in his first 3 seasons was eighth, fifth. So I don't know what says that they're better. He's better. But, hey, that's just me. Steve, how are you, mate?
I'm good, bro. Just got out of work, man. So, yeah, chilling. Beautiful day in New Hampshire. It's cold, but I'm doing all right, man. What about you guys?
We're good this end, man. I think we're good this end. Talk to me about the North London derby. What are you? I think I've seen your prediction before, but what do you think of the game? What do you think of the setup?
To be fair, I'm really excited about it. I always like watching the North London derby, and you know how much I love just Europe world football. And so for me, I put that game on a pedestal. It's usually very back and forth, a lot of goals, red cards. There's beef. There's a lot of limbs. It's an amazing, amazing game to watch as a neutral. So I don't see why this time going to be any different. So good. I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, it should be good. It should be good. What do you make of this whole Eddie Howe, Arteta conversation that's going on in the chat?
Well, to be fair, one's at Arsenal, one's at Newcastle. Like you said, one had to go to Bournemouth in the lower divisions and grind it out. Arteta hasn't. Like you said, he got the keys to the kingdom. Albeit it's like a former empire in Arsenal. They aren't the Arsenal of old winning titles under, Wenger and stuff. But look, I mean, both managers are still really young. Both managers have, put on some good displays in terms of there's progress for Arteta and there's, huge progress from Eddie Howe and stuff like that. I'm just intrigued to see who comes out on top. But yeah, I think, oh, Jesus.
I'll tell you what, just quickly, you can always rely on the Arsenal fans to give you wrong information. Listen to this. Comparing Howe to Arteta. Arteta won an FA Cup and 2 Community Shields. I mean, we're steeping a bit low there. And got Arsenal back in the Champions League for the first time in 6 years. Steve, I'll let you answer this. Eddie Howe got Newcastle back in the Champions League last year. Or this year, whichever way you look at it. Do you remember the previous season that Newcastle made Champions League football?
2003-04 or 2002-03. The last game we played before the Milan one was against Partizan Beograd. I think Jermaine Genius missed a penalty in the second leg in Serbia. So
2003, 2004.
Yeah. There you go.
I love this. I think the worrying thing about this, Kuva, for me is the fact that Arsenal hadn't been in the Champions League for 6 years, but still talk like they're Man City with chest. It is hilarious. This guy's undoing all, not Steve, by the way. Sorry, I shouldn't point to Steve. This guy here is undoing all of his own argument by himself, isn't he?
Absolutely. It also ties in with the living them past bit. You've touched on it there. Arsenal fans are now doing what they always accused us of doing. When we say we used to be a great cup side and, the FA Cup used to be ours, and they'll go, oh, you're living in the past. That's 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Get over it. Their last league win is now 20 years ago. Same thing. Get over it. You are not that team anymore. You've come up from wilderness. For a big club, finishing 8th a couple of times running is the wilderness. We know we just did it this last season. We're in crisis. We're finishing the manager with no director of football, no manager, no coaching staff. They're going as well. We're just absolutely shambolic. And yet, 8th is, that's okay, is it? Okay for you all lot when they're going somewhere with a great manager, apparently. I don't see it. Like I said, prove it. It's balls on the table time. You go and you got to go and do something. This is going on too long now. You can't be in this process forever. There's got to be a result at the end of it. Where is it? I don't see it, and I'll put money on it not happening this season.
I think Arteta, I don't think he is the guy I don't think he will be the guy for Arsenal in the here and now. I think if he went to, he doesn't even have to drop as low as a Bournemouth in League Two. I'm not saying that because clearly there is something about him. I think he needs to go to somewhere like a Real Betis, Real Sociedad, somewhere like that, where he doesn't have the resources, where he has to actually, tactically evolve. And I always think it benefits managers where they go to different leagues and stuff. So, but for me, look, like I said, man, they're both exciting managers. We'll just see who comes out. Both have their pros and cons. Both have things they got to work on, but, they both got their strengths. So let's just see at the end of the season. So.
Just quickly, when Perchie says Tottenham have a bigger European pedigree than Arsenal, let that sink in. Angus, unfortunately there, my friend, you might want to go and check your Wikipedia and find out a few facts. Spurs being the first team to win a European trophy for an English club. Do you know what I mean? You guys haven't ever been great in Europe. This is what I mean.
UEFA Cup you won in '83?
Oh, God, no, yeah. Before that as well. We won
70
we won European trophies before that.
Right.
This is what makes me laugh. Keep it. Listen, Angus, I think you're a nice lad in that. But the thing is, for me, a lot of these young Arsenal fans seem to be coming in that don't understand their football history. Yeah, they don't understand it at all. Like I'm seeing in the chat, literally now, Angus is saying he wouldn't want Basuma in Arsenal's midfield. Odegaard is miles, levels clear of Madison. Based on what? I'd love to know based on what. Odegaard had a very good year last year.
Yeah.
Other than that, what did Odegaard do before that? I had Arsenal fans telling me that he's not done anything at Arsenal and that he's not lived up to the hype. One good year. This is the problem. Everything is it's in this short moment of time and no one wants to open their horizons. The beauty you've got of people like me and Kuva is we've got more years to go to fall back on than the last one, the last two, the last three. But honestly, Angus, I love you, dude, but you've really, really got to go and do your history on the football clubs. Really
the other one that ties in with that is I keep hearing the Gooners, they'll always go on about how proud they are about how Arsenal and Everton have been in the top flight the longest. And yeah, that's funny because Arsenal didn't even earn their place in the top division. They were gifted it.
Yeah.
They absolutely did not earn it. They did not earn promotion. They were given it. So as far as I'm concerned, they're there under false pretenses, and they should be handing all their money over to the team that did finish in the promotion spots. That team, I think it might have been Huddersfield or something like that.
And also another thing about the Basuma comment. Also, well, your manager wanted Basuma. He was linked pretty heavily with Arsenal, if I'm not mistaken, at one point in time. So, are you not backing your manager there? I don't even believe what I'm saying, but I'm just throwing it back because people will say, "Oh, I back Arteta or back this guy, that guy, that guy." Well, then you're not backing your manager really. If we're gonna play this silly game, because you wouldn't take Basuma, but your manager would, and he's brilliant. So it's like, how about you just don't say stupid stuff like that? Like Savva said, think before you speak. It's so simple but so effective. Crazy.
Yeah, there's too many people that don't know their club's history or rival. Listen, if I'm going to have a debate with a rival fan, right? If I'm going to have a debate with a rival fan, I am going to know my history. And you know what? Wikipedia's there. It's there. And I just want to say, by the way, for any Arsenal fan that thinks I'm lying, right? People in the chat, everyone, how many European trophies have Arsenal won?
2?
2.
1?
Are we going with 2?
I think they won the Winners' Cup against Parma or Sampdoria in the early 90s, like 92.
Okay. So before that, are we going to count the Intercities Fairs Cup?
Okay, so that's that's the precursor
Yeah?
to the UEFA Cup and now the Europa League. Newcastle won that in 69.
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to go, I'll be honest, I'm not counting that. If they want to count that for a second, they can.
Won them.
Right. So Arsenal have won the UEFA Cup Winners' Cup in 93-94. Any Arsenal fan who knows their club would know that. Tottenham Hotspur have won 3 European trophies. We were the first English team to win a European trophy, which was in the UEFA Cup Winners' Cup in 1962-63. We then won the UEFA Cup, which is now the Europa League, in 71-72 and 83-84. So when Perchy turns around and says Spurs have a better European pedigree than Arsenal, and Arsenal fans like Angus go, no, you don't. Yeah, we do. We've won more European trophies than you. Now, if you want to chuck the debate in that you're more successful and bigger than us domestically, hands up. Hands up. Yeah, Coover, we can't lie about that, right? Hands up. Yeah, Arsenal much bigger domestically than us. League Cups, FA Cups, leagues, sure. But European-wise, you're not. Now I'll just sit here and wait for the Arsenal fans to find some reason as to how that's not true. Right? This is the thing. The Arsenal fans, they don't know their club's history. It's embarrassing. Not all of them, but it's embarrassing. If you're going to come in and debate properly. Like Will says, yeah, Arsenal only has 1 European trophy, the Cup Winners' Cup. Sure, exactly. And you know the funny thing about this, Will? The thing that makes me laugh is everyone's got use of the internet, right? We're all on it. Aren't we all on the internet right now? All it would take is these Arsenal fans to go, hang on, before I debate that, I'm just going to quickly type in, like Savva did, Arsenal Wikipedia and go down to the honours section. It's, Angus, unfortunately, yeah, you're. But listen, hey, guys, Perchy is going to go live now. So I have sent you across over to it. I'm sending you across over to him. Guys, thank you so much.
To be fair, Savva, you are being a bit harsh on Arsenal fans because they have to learn 2 histories, don't they? The North London one and the Woolwich one.
Oh, God, it does make me laugh. Listen, all I've said is I will call a spade a spade. Yeah? I think it's really important to. I can't debate. When the Arsenal fans go, oh, we've won more league titles. Yeah. Yeah, you have. That's why I'm never going to try and use it to beat you in a debate. But when they're coming at us for Europe, not having it. Big up. Absolutely. To round off the show, Amir, it's football heritage. Absolutely is. Big up Jose Mourinho, wherever you are out there with Roma. Big up. Listen, Kuva, thank you so much for a couple of hours of your time. Really enjoyed that this morning.
Pleasure. Always fun, mate. Always fun.
Yeah, always good. Steve, thanks for joining us. Drive safely, my man. And listen, I'm not going to be doing too much, I don't think, today or tomorrow. If I'm brutally honest, people, I don't want to overkill it. I'll be back Sunday where I've got a 10 a.m., then a 1 p.m. watch along, and then an 8 p.m. Spurs review. So Steve will be with me for a lot of those. Kuva will be in and out, I'm sure. Perchy will be there. Barry will be there, hopefully with clothes on. And, of course, Haz will be there. So listen, guys, please smash the like button on your way out. Please subscribe on your way out. Really enjoyed it. Take care. And Perchy, over to you, my friend. Over to you.